Buddy, sound check, and I will find out what the heck picture that is. There he is.
Anyhow, yeah, we got a little rushed here, and so.
No, the problem was I needed to find a picture that actually was the right friggin' size, which most of them aren't.
What is, I can't read the.
Howdy, Keith and Eva. Happy New Year to you both.
Our.
Brian said, anyone think it's in Montana B? Quite possibly. Hi, Douglas. 4x4 at the bottom of the ladder in Montana B. Yeah, that's pretty much what I think it was.
Yeah. Okay.
There it is. It's this one right here. Let's see. Yeah, you were hanging somewhere in Montana.
Yeah, well, it happens. Hey, Brian. Yeah, I saw your thing. That I don't know how concentrated you have to get your solution in order to cement it onto the shavings, because in theory, if you've adjusted your solution so it's no longer dissolving gold, you should just be able to run it over a small amount of shavings very slowly and recover everything in it. You can always do it more than once if you need it. Hey Dave, how's it going? You can't see Keith's shirt. Well, that's the plan. Just my beautiful face, and that's all that shows up. Anyhow, so I'm not sure how much you need to concentrate the solution before you cement. Could you explain real quickly why you think you need to concentrate it first? Because once you've adjusted the pH to where theoretically the Eco Goldex is no longer active, then you should just be able to cement. You might take a longer time with more solution, but shouldn't be a huge problem. So I hopefully have some solution here from my x-ray tests that will help kind of demonstrate stuff. That wasn't the initial purpose, but it's basically the same thing. I just back calculate. You know, I understand it would be nice, but that's a lot of effort evaporating water. And I don't know if it's terribly important. If you know how much water you put in initially, how much solution, then just do the math. I diluted it 1-to-1. Okay, so whatever I find concentration-wise is half of what it would be. In terms of total amount of dissolved precious metals, that shouldn't change at all, assuming you're getting a good, effective recovery out of solution. You know, I've been doing testing with this x-ray film, and what I did initially was I mixed up some nitric acid according to the formula that I determined before as to what was the optimum. 1 part nitric to 2.5 parts water by volume. And then I kept leaching film until such time as it slowed way down, became pretty much ineffective. And then I added another 50 cc's of nitric acid. I started out with 100 cc's of nitric and 250 of water. Then I added, ran it until it had lost its activity and added 50 cc's.
Brian says I'm just running down to what it started at before I added all the wash water.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I saw that part.
David says questamation gets you close.
Yeah.
SCP Adventures in God's Country says hi.
Hi, SCP.
And Brian Smith says he just ordered 10 pounds of film.
Okay.
Used film or new film?
You better be used.
It better be used film.
If it's unused film, you can just use sodium hypochlorite and get all the silver chloride right out of it. Boom. Anyhow, that 50 cc's of additional acid seemed to effectively leach about 1 pound of film before it lost its activity. Now, mind you, because of what else I'm doing in this and that, I could be losing a fair amount of nitric to off-gassing and stuff like that. But it seemed to be about 50 cc's to 1 pound
Jeff
of film.
said years ago I'd suggested neutralizing the Goldex, but Keith said that would take too much acid. Yeah.
Yep.
That
Exactly.
stuff is way too basic.
Yeah. Well, and
Besides, you want to be able to reuse it.
it's best if you can get the gold out of it without really affecting it, so you can put it right back to work. You know, and that's the basic idea. Let's suppose you had a vehicle, you had a pickup truck, and you loaded it with something, and then you drove it over to where you wanted to unload it, and you removed the bed off the pickup truck to get the dirt out of it, and then reinstalled the bed in the pickup truck. That's a lot of extra work. It would be better if you had a tilt bed pickup truck and you just opened the tailgate and dumped. So that is the idea of the resin or carbon adsorption, is that it takes it right out of the solution as it is without modifying the solution at all. It just grabs that gold complex out of solution with such tenacity that you can then just put the solution right back to work. Yeah. So that's the theoretical problem. I presume that's what, what's his name? Oh gosh, I forgot his name now. John said that you need to do. I have no idea. I haven't tried it, but generally, the reason you do stuff like that is to prevent the solution from redissolving the gold when it cements it.
Brian says he's got resin for the future.
Yeah, I say it gets more complicated to get the gold from the resin than it would be from, say, zinc, but you don't have to destroy your leach solution first. One presupposes that if you are trying to make a business out of this, you want to reuse things as much as possible. It's not a single batch and then you're going to go home and call it a job. In the case of like the mine I was at, we would, run 10,000 tons a day. And that was just the amount we put into the circuit, into the leach pad. So you're moving a lot of stuff. You can't afford to make it active, make it inactive, or whatever. In the case of cyanide solution, if you're using zinc for cementation, it's very easy to deactivate the cyanide solution without damaging it. All you have to do is remove the oxygen. Okay? Now, it's not absolutely necessary to remove the oxygen in order to precipitate the gold. You just consume a whole lot less zinc. It's a lot more efficient. If you subject the solution to a vacuum, I spray it into a low pressure chamber, then the gases come out without the oxygen. You no longer have any oxidation potential, which is critical to dissolving the gold with the cyanide. Then, after you've run it over your zinc and cemented it, then you simply mix it with air, spray it into an air environment, and it becomes oxygenated again. That was the Merrill-Crowe process. I believe Merrill was the guy who invented the zinc cementation, and Crow invented the deoxygenation, reoxygenation part. But that's why you always look at your entire system throughput. Now, one thing that I have tentatively observed with what I'm doing right now is that my reagent consumption is too high. Now, I may be able to get by with a lot less. I don't know. When it comes to the silver and the amount of silver involved in these things, I should be able to get a lot more silver per cc of nitric acid than what I actually preliminarily observed. 50 cc's of nitric acid at 4 cents per cc is about $2. 1 pound of film, assuming you get 1 ounce per 10 pounds of film, that would be 1/10 of an ounce of silver. That's $3 of entrained silver that you spent $2 in simply reagent costs to get. That's not a good idea, you know? And
Kodak says, hey all, Brian Smith, what do you mean by ordering film?
oh, Kodak.
Brian says, yeah, I did. Do you know of any that's not so costly?
Yeah, that to recover silver from film, it's always assumed it's old film that's been used and no longer has a purpose. The only thing is it's scrap now. Hey Lars, how's it going? So that's why, kind of by definition, if it's got, let's say, $10 of silver in it, that film's going to cost you more than $10 because they had to do all the processing. There's a lot of other steps there. It's used film, which is no longer needed for the images, and that is why you're recovering it. But this process, at this point, and I still have a lot more research to do to prove it, I've run out of film, is that reagent consumption is uneconomic. Okay? I mean, I could basically, for $800 in reagents, I can get $1,280 in silver, assuming I pay current market price for new for the nitric acid. Now, I may have a source. Dave may have found some nitric acid that was surplus somewhere and that he can pick up for free that I may get. And in that case, that changes all the values substantially. I think I could probably do better than that because I was only treating half a pound of film per night. I'm heating up the solution. I'm using it for a couple of 100-gram batches of film, and then I'm putting it back for the next day and reheating it the next day.
Kodak says at this time he's doing scrapping, so just picking up is my cost. I do not pay for stuff. Yeah, I'm the same way. Kodak also says, hey, Lars. Lars says, if you can dig it, let's rock.
Yeah.
Oh, very funny. Very funny indeed, Lars.
So anyhow, while I'm pretty sure the system will work, I don't know if it's going to be economic unless it just happened to luck into, the nitric acid. But let's get some solution here, and let's see what happens in the cementation phase. Now I noticed I was getting a precipitate in my beakers of solution, and therefore, oops, I'm going to need a catch. Hold on, folks. Don't want to be dripping nitric acid on my desk. That would be undesirable. Anyhow, so I was getting a precipitate.
Wage Slay says P-test. Brian says he got his for $5 a pound. Yikes.
Yeah, I think
We're
that.
planning to try glycine on this to
Yeah.
find out what we can do with that.
But anyhow, so I took and decanted most of the active solution that I'm using. I had solution and rinse water, basically. And then I put some water in with the precipitates and heated it. And so now my question is, does it have silver in it? And
James says, laugh out loud.
yeah, silver should precipitate pretty rapidly onto copper. 'Cause
When
it's
I
silver
was in
nitrate.
California and I was back there, if only I could legally dredge in California.
Yeah, you and about a few thousand other people. Now, this is not showing much in the way of silver nitrate in solution, which is not terribly surprising because silver nitrate is extremely soluble according to the numbers, like more than 1 gram per cc of water. So that shows very little cementation here. If that was in some of Eva's, what do you call it? Parting acid, spent parting acid, it would go a lot more than that. Now this is the actual leaching acid. This is ready for the next batch. I might have to refresh it just a little bit. Put that, so you just touch that copper in there, and you can see how the
You got some right there. There's something that looks.
copper immediately starts cementing silver. The negative is there's so much nitric acid, it's going to keep dissolving it back. Yes, finely divided, any kind of silvery metal that's finely divided looks black. There's an actual very finely divided platinum is called platinum black. Let's see if this, it's a more pretty coating here. Give it a little more time, but anyhow. So again, I'm trying to get the parameters. On the other hand, this is not the only way to get silver out of film, I'm sure.
Honey Bunny's here. Hi, honey.
Hi, buddy.
Hey, everybody. Screwtube kept me from seeing the link in time to be here.
Yeah. But anyhow, it says this particular methodology is something that's fairly simple, something we've done before with Eva's parting acid. And so we were hoping it would work. But I say we'll see how the economics work. I'll have to go get some more film because this first batch, that was 1 kilogram of film, and I pretty much used it up. Another possibility is to directly electroplate out of the leaching acid. Okay, but that's as soon as you stop the current, you'd have to get the cathode out of the acid, or you're going to start dissolving silver again real quick. Nitric acid loves silver. Another thing one could do, and this is
James West says hi. Hi, James.
yep. Another little thing we could do here Let's see. And this is the rinse water, basically. As you can see, it definitely has something in it. Like that whiteboard, it's a good background. Let's see, right about there. Now, assuming that this has silver nitrate, why is that not pouring? If you add a little bit of chloride, in this place, salt, you'll get a white flock.
Change color.
And that definitely looks like a white flock. And that would be silver chloride. And silver chloride is insoluble in nitric acid. And so you could theoretically precipitate silver chloride, filter it and like that, and then wind up with a product you can smell. We have found there's volatilization losses that are pretty significant in that. So we prefer to avoid that. I'm going to rinse this a moment to kind of save things. Okay, so now I got the stuff rinsed where there's nothing dangerous to touch or whatever. And
Brian says add lye to get silver oxide. Red Wing says he's got a gallon of dead nitric. I don't know what might be in it. Probably some silver.
Yeah. If it's, when you say dead nitric, what was it used for? Or was it just sitting around a long time? You know? Because what's common in assaying is you use it to dissolve silver when you're parting beads. And if the nitric acid no longer has any activity and it's been used to dissolve silver, just make sure it's neutral pH, that gets rid of that nitric, and then put some copper in it. And just let it sit there.
Or put some salt in it and turn it into...
Because it'll do that. And eventually it just piles up on the bottom. It's kind of cool. If you go to Street Tips, you can see him doing it. It works out pretty well. That's what we do to recover the silver for Eva's parting silver.
Just about everybody. I mean, if it's dead nitric and you don't want to try to use it again.
It was used to dissolve mercury years ago. Okay, let me explain something to you. Real important, Red Wing. Mercury nitrate is extremely toxic and will go through your skin. Okay? If that has mercury in it, then you should carefully handle it. You got to wear gloves.
Honey says mercury fulminate.
Yeah, it's bad juju. Big bad juju. If you neutralize the nitric and then put copper in it, you can recover the mercury just like you would the silver. Okay? But, the mercury nitrate, I've handled it before. You need to be very careful not to get skin contact. It can go through the skin. And mercury is extremely toxic, and it's a cumulative toxin. It doesn't come out very easy. Okay? And I agree with Brian. Don't let it dry out. Absolutely. But short of going through the trouble of safe disposal, whatever, I would go ahead and neutralize it carefully and then cement out the mercury with copper. You'll now have some mercury. Mercury has a number of uses. And then you should be able to dispose of the remaining, copper nitrate solution without a problem. But yeah, that's some dangerous stuff. Be extremely careful with that, and don't just pour it down the drain or whatever. Yeah. And Honey Bunny says you can basically precipitate it out by using baking soda. Sodium bicarbonate makes sodium nitrate and mercury oxide. Could be, I don't know. I just know that basically all mercury compounds are toxic to one level or another. Some are extremely toxic. Okay? So, yeah, you got to be very, very careful with that. Okay? That flock isn't settling just yet, but that's not entirely surprising. Anyhow, let's see what else is on the board here. Another thing I could do is I could try using either glycine or Eco Goldex to treat the film. Now, the Eco Goldex, again, I'm pretty comfortable handling that. I know what's going on. I could probably cement the silver some way out of solution, zinc, whatever. I mean, there's something that should cement it out of Eco Goldex. Glycine, I don't know at this point. Brian, any idea what the solubility of silver is in glycine? Did you get any recovery rates?
Recovery rates.
I'm not working on. I'm just getting to that point yet. I said, just taking a look. I was hoping that silver nitrate wasn't hugely soluble in water. I'm wrong. I looked it up and it's like, oh crap, because I was hoping I could.
Glycine on silver, Brian's going question marks. Yeah, we haven't tried it, but I have heard.
I mean,
and Brian says he don't know.
Okay.
That's one of the things we're looking at trying, Brian, because supposedly glycine is selective enough that it will leach both gold and silver.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to research it. Again, I was trying the thing I know on a small scale first. General principles. Start with what you know and start with small samples. And so if that works well, you got a functional system. This might not be too bad, depending upon what I have to do to keep the solution continuing to digest the silver. If I can get by with 10 cc's per pound will be pretty profitable. 10 cc's of nitrate per pound of film. If that's all I needed to add, again, I may be losing a lot to outgassing and stuff because I'm just doing 200-gram batches a day and then a day later doing it again. There might be a lot of outgassing between there. So I'm not sure. So, I say, I don't know. I'm going to do more experiments with this before I focus on something else. Because again, with the Eco Goldex, I know that, okay, now you got it in solution. How do you get it out? Life can get complicated. Yeah. Thallium is pretty nasty stuff, Honey Bunny.
Brian says glycine hates copper. That I know.
Yeah.
Copper will not dissolve in glycine.
Yeah. I say, we'll
Well,
see.
it'll be interesting to see, A, if glycine does work on silver, and B, how the heck you get the silver out of the glycine.
So I've got a lot of smart people I know that I can ask some questions. I was hoping that this, once I did the first initial testing, it would indicate, okay, that's a perfectly viable system. It may not be optimal, especially if you had large throughput. I mean, if you had the ability to gather 1,000 pounds of old X-ray film per day or per week, you know, going to a little more complex system that's a lot cheaper would make a lot of sense. This is a single batch, one-time shot, 400 pounds. See what'll work. Yeah, I say that's a question, honey bunny. I don't know. Let's say I was hoping that I wouldn't need to worry about it because this would work fine. I haven't proven this doesn't work fine, but the initial indications are it may not be optimally economic. Now, all I've got to do is improve the economics by a factor of 4, and I've got $200 in reagent consumption at full market value for $1,300 worth of silver. That's not too bad. Okay? If I split that, say 50-50 with the X-ray film owner, that would be what, $750
Yeah.
for a $200 investment?
Honey Bunny's talking about tantalum capacitors for some reason. Hi, Shane.
Okay. Optimal depends on a number of factors. When I think of optimal, I mean, I think of maximum profitability for effort and resources. If I have a ton of, say, X-ray film, if I were to spend, let's say, a ton of X-ray film would be, what, 5 times 1,300, yeah, call it $7,000, roughly. If I was to spend $10,000 on equipment to make it functional and easy, that wouldn't be optimal because I'd be losing money. I might as well kick back and go fishing. So that's one of the things. You look at profitability. You look at how do you dispose of all your end products? Is that an issue? Is that a problem? In some cases, you can change the process so your waste becomes a lot easier to get rid of and or can be profitable. One that I know of, I used to deal with a Cargill dust-off dust control agent, which is a what is it? Magnesium chloride solution. Now, wow, magnesium chloride, blah, blah. Okay, well, guess what? It's a waste product. If you evaporate seawater, one of the first things that falls out is the salt, the sodium chloride. And so you put it in these big, giant evaporating basins and let it evaporate till most of the salt is gone. As solid salt on the bottom of the basin. Then you drain the basin and you have mainly magnesium chloride, magnesium sulfate, which is Epsom salt, remaining in solution. You keep evaporating. Now the Epsom salt falls out. Okay? You move that to the next one, and now you got a magnesium chloride solution, which they used to throw the magnesium sulfate, magnesium chloride back in the ocean. Okay? Then the environmentalists said, hey, that sucks. You're polluting the ocean with like ocean chemicals. But anyhow, So they found a use for the waste product. Now they sell it, I don't know what for. I mean, I basically got it wholesale for about $30 a ton for solution. Okay? And then I'd be selling it for $50 to $100 a ton plus transportation. Another thing in the copper mining industry, when they would dig for copper, the copper oxide minerals, it was really hard to recover the copper out of them. So they would just dig the upper part of the mineralized zone and throw it away. Throw it on dumps. Okay? Then when they got down to the sulfide zone, they'd mine that out, run it through a mill, float off the sulfides, and then the sulfides would go to a smelter to be smelted, i.e. heated in the presence of oxygen and a couple fluxing ingredients, and to convert it to copper and a bunch of slag. Hey, Chris, how's it going? Okay, Chris, it seems like my nitric acid consumption is a little high on that X-ray film processing. Might not be terribly economic, but I've still got more experiments to do to see how well that works. I'm sure it'll do the job. Question is, will it make me money doing it? Big question. And so, in the case of copper smelting, you made sulfur dioxide gas, which is pretty toxic and nasty, and they would just send it up big giant smokestacks and distribute it in the atmosphere. So somebody, I think it was the Swedes, figured out if you add oxygen to air, so you're running about 40% oxygen, you can oxidize the sulfides and create a flue gas that's sufficiently rich in sulfur dioxide that you can readily convert it to sulfuric acid. So now you have drastically reduced to eliminated the sulfur dioxide pollution of the atmosphere, which was big. Okay? You are producing, in the case of the Hayden smelter, I know it was 6,000 tons of sulfuric acid a day. Now, if they weren't turning it into sulfuric acid, it would just be going into the atmosphere. That's 6,000 tons of sulfuric acid aerosol in the atmosphere that they prevented. Well, that's a good thing. That's pretty nice. Now they can take that waste product and, again, turn it into a saleable product. And even better, sulfuric acid in dilute solution readily dissolves copper from copper oxide minerals. So they found out they could take the sulfuric acid from the smelter, send it right back to the mine, and leach the waste dumps and get copper for lower cost than what they were doing initially. You know? So that's it. It's one of those things where that's a much more optimal solution than what they were doing. Okay? You're reducing pollution, you're getting more copper at a lower cost, and you know the smelter is running at least as efficiently as it was before. So that's what I mean by optimum. It will depend on your circumstance what optimum means, but it just means getting everything as good as you can manage it. When you're dealing with the size operations that we tend to think about, you don't have hundreds of millions of dollars to invest. And therefore, sometimes you have to deal with something that's less efficient, but a lot lower upfront cost. And that will be an optimum solution for you. And also sometimes optimum solutions are temporary. Initially, this is the optimum solution. Then once you've recovered so much and expanded and recouped your investment and put money in the bank, now you can afford another solution, which is even better.
Trish says, did you try oxalic acid to strip the film base?
Not yet.
We have not yet. That is one of the next things on our list to try.
Yeah, let me write that down here. Oxalic. Oh, come on.
I have to wonder whether the iron out wouldn't do anything, because the iron out is mostly sodium metabisulfite. So,
Well, you don't just randomly do stuff. I need to do some more research too on the internet. I'm sure there's recovery rate for that. I haven't got it down to silver yet, so I don't know what it is. It's presumably going to be in the neighborhood of 1 ounce of silver per 10 pounds of film. Okay? So that's just kind of the industry average, but it's not guaranteed. That's another thing. Always verify everything. Never assume that anything is going to work just fine. This is cemented silver, Chris, from the nitric acid leach solution. I'm just demonstrating to people because I don't want to neutralize that nitric acid until I'm done with it. So, my biggest issue is the shredding part. We got this used shredder for $9 at the thrift store, and it has trouble with the film. It does a nice job when it's working well, but it's just, it's not optimal. It has trouble. By the way, I may have some nitric acid on my wrist. Let me wash it here. It feels like it.
well, I mean, the thing is, it was a low-cost solution. I mean, yeah, I could, for $80, we could buy and burn out a Fellows crosscut shredder over there at freaking office at Staples.
Well, we wanted to make sure that it was going to be profitable in the long
Hi,
run.
Chris Saucier.
Say,
Chris says he wouldn't shred at all, just strip a flat film.
you need a pretty big tray to do that. I mean, some of these films are literally this big. You could cut it up, but even then you're going to wind up with a thing I never thought of.
We never thought of a shallow flat tray because we have.
Well, you'd still, you'd be dealing with, well, judging from what I was doing, each individual film, let's say you could deal with a tray about the size of a standard piece of paper, you'd be dealing with 10 grams of film at a whack, Yeah, I've used them before. But yeah, you'd be dealing with, as I say, judging by what I did, what I went through, how much it weighed. I didn't actually weigh the individual pieces. In that case, you'd be dealing with,
16 by 20 is standard for a tray. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that each piece of film.
Deep bleaching your bathtub.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that film sticks together. If you try and do it more than one at a time.
Chris says put a sheet in, strip it, pull it out, rinse next.
I understand. I'm trying to think. Let us suppose.
He was looking for a way that he could strip it in large quantity without it sticking together. And shredded stuff does not stick together the way the solid stuff does.
So that's about 4. Gosh, we had more than that. Let's just say 4 standard size sheets per pound. Okay, so 400 times 4. That would be 1,600 sheets. And the nitric acid would be outgassing.
You the lawnmower. Yeah.
At the speeds I've examined, at room temperature with the 20% solution, it would take, a couple of seconds, about 10 seconds each. The hotter you make it, of course, the more outgassing you get, which has...
Chris says he wasn't stripping the nitric.
Yeah.
Override it on a concrete pad. On a concrete pad.
You can take it with emulsion.
Emulsion to emulsion. If they're sticking, you can crease them if you really need to. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's possible. Now, you're talking the oxalic to strip the emulsion. I know some guy was also talking about stripping the emulsion with, what do you call it? Sodium hydroxide. If I recall, it was 1 tablespoon per gallon or something like that. And see, this is where I'm doing it on a small scale. You know, I've managed to go through a whole 2 pounds out of 400 so far. And that's why you do that, so that you find these issues and deal with them when it's cheap and easy. Yeah. Chris, if we had the emulsion stripped off, potassium, I presume that's hydroxide? You got a question mark in there. Yeah, exactly, Kodak. That's make it as simple as possible. Stop potassium nitrate, huh? But now the potassium nitrate would be an attempt to actually dissolve the silver off the film, huh?
And he says stump remover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Potassium nitrate is what she's talking about there. We got some potassium nitrate.
Yeah, we got tons of potassium nitrate. Poor man's aquaresia would work, but the nitrous, the NOx is still an issue.
Well, when you say poor man's nitric, if you got any chloride in there, it's going to form an insoluble chloride, correct? And say we might be able to use a nitrate with an oxidizing agent. There's ammonia too. That sounded terrible, little one. She's trying to laugh, but her throat's got some issues right now.
I gotta go take care of my fire.
Okay.
It's probably out by now. I'm wasting my time over here.
Thanks. So, as you can see, folks, there's a lot of possibilities. And I say, I had the stuff to do this. I thought I'd give it a shot, see how well it worked. And it's less than ideal. So we're going to see if we can't optimize it in some way. And one problem with nitric acid is it does outgas. something like sodium hydroxide, there's no fumes, anything like that. Silver chloride to drop out and recover that. The problem we've had in the past with silver chloride, Chris, was it seems to volatilize pretty substantially in the final smelting process. There may be better ways of dealing with it. You know, there might be a simple wet chemical method to turn silver chloride into silver metal before you do the final smelting process. When we smelted, I think we lost like 30% to volatilization. You know, we started with dry silver chloride. That was our first thought of dealing with the parting acid that Eva had, was to just, you know, do the chloride drop and then, you know, filter it. Add sugar. Yeah, lion sugar. Yeah, I think that's what, what's his name? Street Tips did with one. And so it may work, but again, that's another step that if we could do one dissolution step, and then one cementation step, and then one smelting step, that would be pretty efficient. That's why I wanted to test this to see. And I say it may be better to go somewhere else. But this was a very simple process. Couple silver cells and cycle your acid. That's entirely possible too, Chris. Again, right now I'm just trying to see what the very preliminary stuff is. What's your reagent consumption? What's the cost? Now, I know Eva likes the idea of recycling the acid. Absolutely. What would you use for an anode? Carbon anode on that, Chris? Yeah, I say that may be something. When you are stripping the emulsion from the plastic backing, basically, does it just dissolve or does it get loose and you just scrape it off with that? You can do the ammonia. Yeah, I say we're just gonna try, you know, whatever seems like the simplest thing to begin with. If that doesn't work, do something else, etc., 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 and you know, come up with something good. But that's the nice thing about being winter. I'm not in a big hurry. I've got plenty of time. I also need to do more research on possible locations and stuff, because we're going to get more into exploration this spring, you know. Yeah, I was thinking like a squeegee or something would probably work. You know, once you get it soft, then you can probably just squeegee it off like that. But again, this is one of those deals where, you know, we got a lot of testing to do, but hey, got time. You know, so we shall see how that works. Now, on the bit about modifying our emphasis on the YouTube channel, and anyhow, so the idea of using shorts as teasers to get into other stuff, I like that idea. I went back to some of my very first videos to see how well they've aged, and I was quite pleased with how well they've aged, basically. The production quality was not necessarily ideal, but the information has aged pretty well. So, lessons 1, 2, and 3, where does gold come from, how to find low gold deposits, and taking representative samples. I'm pretty those. And then the next one was, what do you call it? How to hand pan microfine gold. Now, I've learned a lot in the last 9 years, I guess, since I did that. Let me show you a pan here just for jolly.
Yeah, I'm going to be eating and stuff, so you're going to have to try to watch what.
No problem. I'm dealing with it. So anyhow, for example, there is a pan of gold. This is concentrates from the sluice on the top of the hill material. And so that's not bad for a pan. It's probably about 3 or 4 cups worth. And I am going to do a whole new panning video using all the information I know now, you know, the different types of gold and how it reacts, and you know, the fact that you can get fine stuff sticking way up and big stuff just going right to the bottom of the pan and losing it. So I'm planning on doing that, and then they suggested my, son-in-law, stepson rather, and my daughter-in-law suggested I could use the old videos. Like, I got, I think, 4 how to hand pan microfine gold videos, and the oldest one gets the most looking, but put a tag and a link on there so that for the newest information, do this to get to the new one. And then I also want to go through all my stuff and create 1 or more playlists so that basically somebody who doesn't know much can get a nice organized set of lessons on how to, explore for hard rock gold and, evaluate the situation and sample it and all that other stuff. And so I'm going to be spending some time on that this winter too. I was thinking about the playlist thing for a while, but it's pretty busy as usual. So I think that would be very helpful to a lot of people, because I've got hundreds and hundreds of videos, and trying to go through those to find the critical things, especially if it's someone who doesn't know what's a critical thing, is pretty lacking in usefulness for a newbie. So I wanted to make it a lot easier for a novice to get a good kind of comprehensive overview of the subject. That's going to take me a little time, but I think it'll really pay off for some people, and I hope that'll be very helpful to a lot of people. By the way, Chris, how are you feeling? How's things healing up on you there? Hope things are going well. But we just, I say, we have some interesting stuff too, but it's going to be a little bit different. I did, because it is freezing and sub-freezing outside for quite a while. I was over at Lauren's yesterday or the day before, I don't know. I was helping him with some stuff, and he was getting ready to throw some stuff out. And one thing was a small table, fairly stout wood table. So I brought it over here, and I'm going to use that as kind of a demonstration table for the gold panning video, and there may be some other stuff I'll use it for too in here. and that'll be kind of good. I'd also like to, again, in the probably by springtime, it'd be nice to have a second camera. So everything's not just this one. We got another remote camera on a long cord that we can go to different places and look at different things while I do them. So I can do more, demonstrations like this live and, right in front of people so we can see what happens. And that's in the works. Does anyone have any questions or anything or any subjects they want to bring up? Yeah. Well, I have a GoPro and I've got a camcorder. I know the camcorder's got like a USB-C up. All feeling better now. Well, I'm feeling better. I'm not feeling 100%. Eva, you might have heard her voice is anything less than that. We might, Mr. Virtue, I'm not sure. I get the feeling that this year is going to be a transitional year. I don't know exactly to what or how or why. As you may have noticed, Eve and I tend to kind of freeform life a little bit. So, that's put a graphite crucible in your microwave.
Hold that for a second.
Interesting thought, Wade. I've never.
Put a graphite crucible in the
Yeah,
microwave.
graphite's
I
conductive.
hadn't
It'll
thought
absorb
about
the
that.
energy. Yeah.
I had not thought about it. I think we have a tripod somewhere.
Yeah. I got tripod for the camera. Yeah. Not a problem. And I said there's a lot of stuff I'm still doing stuff basically like I was 9 years ago, tech-wise. I should probably improve that. Another thing that was very interesting, I don't know if you saw, I think 2 days ago, Dan Hurd posted a video that my greatest challenge yet. That's interesting, but basically what it is he's going to be backing off and slowing down. He played the algorithms. He's been doing it for 10 years now. Very successful. I guess he's the biggest prospecting channel or whatever on YouTube.
Yeah. Jeff Williams is right up there too.
He did a fine job, but he's burning out. And he says, I just can't take the pressure anymore. You got to do this, you got to do that. And I understand completely, which is why I didn't do it from the get-go. That's why I always focused on the mining and the milling and all this other stuff first, and the YouTube channel second. And obviously, I haven't had near the success on the YouTube channel he has. But on the other hand, I'm still having fun, etc. I'm not burned out. And
Casserole.
for our purposes, we like to help people.
Hey, he's now optioning 4 separate claims.
Yeah. And again,
Graphite gets hot
that's
in
fine.
my
I'm supposed to try and sell a couple claims for a guy over the next 6 months. They're ones I staked for him, and they're going to take time and money to develop and this and that and the other, and it's like, he wants to cut back on the expenses, so he's, wanting to sell them. And I'll put the information up at the appropriate time and everything. One's a silver mine, one's a gold mine. And both of them are pretty nice area in terms of scenery. Not so nice in terms of access, but not terrible. I mean, we were able to drive there with the minor Bago, so it's not hugely problematic. And but yeah, I can understand what Dan got into, you know. Hey Ray, how's it going? What's the topic tonight? Well, earlier was more on the X-ray film, and right now we're talking Dan Hurd's going to be backing off and not, I wouldn't say retiring, but going to more a part-time, not intensely focused sort of thing. And I'd say I understand completely. Without having young children to deal with, pretty sure Dan Hurd had some youngsters, and I know Jason from Flower Gold Wizards does. You know, he's got at least a teenage daughter, things like that. That's, you know, it puts a lot of pressure on you that I don't have. And I've been avoiding putting myself in a position where I have to make money. Allows me a lot more freedom. So, as I say, I get the feeling I'm going to have to focus a little bit more, or I'm going to, I don't know, may hit a good mine or something like that. We shall see. Could be, honey bunny. I know I'm getting old, and you know I got aftermarket parts. It's not fun. So, let's say, I think we've played the game well for what we were trying to do. Dan played the game well for what he was trying to do. And I presume Jason over there at Flower Gold Wizards is playing the game well for what he wants to do. He's playing the algorithms pretty good. I'll give him that. Absolutely. I think I'm going to have to put a little more effort into playing the algorithms. Still not planning on monetizing the channel, although if it was busy enough that it could be easily monetized and turn profitable, there might come a circumstance where I needed to monetize the channel. Did we all get snow? Yes, we did. Not a great deal. What would you say, about 10 inches out there, little one? Yeah, about 10 inches. This week, it's getting a little bit above freezing during the day, below freezing at night. Should make for nasty driving. And so that's less than ideal. Also, I need to get another load of firewood here fairly quick. And Lauren would prefer not driving a big dump trailer on slippery roads, which I think makes plenty of sense. So I suspect that it's going to be winter here for a while now. But we'll see what we can do in terms of the research. Kind of mellow that out. Right now, well, you got a pretty warm. Did you ever adjust the thermostat on the
No.
furnace after I did the other night?
No.
Okay, yeah, because it's 72 in here right now. And it's 49 in the crawl space below. Take care, Kodak. And so that's basically what I'm planning on doing this winter. Who knows what's going to come up. But I need to get these concentrates done. I need to get a new how to hand pan microfine gold video up. I need to get a playlist up. And do a lot of research so that we can really start some exploration first thing in the springtime. Go from there. So, that's about it for the news. Eva's not uncomfortable, but she's not super healthy at the moment. The visit went well with the kids. That was good. Huh? You know, Shaggy, maybe, maybe not. I'm not terribly worried about it. I mean, what's that old saying? You know, you keep working for something all your life and you never succeed, and then when you stop worrying about it, all of a sudden it just happens. Hey, Alex. Cool. Hope that works out well, Alex. You know, uh, where would it be? At local or someplace far away? And what kind of environment would you be surrounding yourself with? Uh, uh, I saw somebody today was posting videos about this. Look at the what do you call it? Drones in this video.
Alex said they replied to my job app in less than 24 hours, so they must be interested. Woohoo!
Yep. Where is it at, Alex? But it looked to me like a Starlink deployment. You had two groups of dots that are very much in a grid. Yeah, it's like, So
one of the Starlink deployment videos I saw showed like a string of lights.
I have no idea. Although I did hear a funny joke the other day. I think this was, what's the comedian's name? She was on, I think, CNN, and she was saying a number of jokes that, and she kept asking, am I still on? But one that I thought that was pretty funny. Bozeman, huh? That's not bad.
They built a brand new facility next to Costco in Bozeman last year. They've been in town since I was a little kid.
Sweet. Anyhow, and one of the jokes was, you know, and those drones are still flying around. Nobody seems to know what they are, but we're pretty sure they're not made by Boeing because they're still flying around. I thought that was pretty funny. Harsh, but funny. Anyhow. Okay. So, anything else anyone's got? That'd be great, Alex. Then you'd be, you wouldn't even have to move. Sweetness. I didn't know Fleer was in Bozeman. Well, I can't think of much else. You think of anything, little one? The electoral vote got counted with no drama today. So that's
Trudeau has announced he's going to be stepping down.
That's true. Trudeau.
So everyone should send Trump MAGA socks so that Trump can troll Trudeau with funny socks.
I don't really care as long as he's gone. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
Good old Trudeau. And that Golden Globes last night with the dude in the dress was just absolutely ridiculous. Not enjoying living with your parents. They still think you're 12.
Yeah.
Alex, it doesn't matter if you move, dude. Your parents will always think you're 12. Give up.
Well, by no drama, I meant there was no protest. Of course, the weather kind of helped there. There was no... I didn't see anybody arguing about counting.
The weather was great. Great enough to have a giant celebratory snowball fight. So there was that. So,
yeah.
Yeah. And paying off your student loans will be easier if you live at home.
Yeah. But, as I say, we didn't see anything huge in terms of trying to... I mean, there was stuff talking about, well, we just need to say, hey, he's not eligible, so, you know, we're going to... Now, they may try that between now and the 20th, but I was expecting the possibility of something like that today. I didn't see it, but I wasn't watching 100% of the time. Yeah. So that's still looks to be a very interesting year coming up. We're in a pretty good position. Yeah, I would think so, Alex. That would seem a bit excessive. You're what, 23 or something now? I can understand why, honey bunny. But yeah, you might be able to room with some people or something like that, Alex, and make it work out. Depending on who they are, it could work. Oh, by the way, we were in Bozeman the other day looking at the Museum of the Rockies, and then we went to Isle of Books. And that was a way cool bookstore. That was really nice. If you haven't been there and you like used bookstores, that's a great place to visit, Alex. But yeah, early 30s, huh? Wow. uh, Anything else, anybody? Name of the bookstore again, please.
Isle of Books. ISLE, like Island of Books.
Yep.
It is the most amazing place ever, and they have another one in Butte, too.
Yeah, Isle of Books has another one in Butte. So, yeah, we ought to swing by there sometime when we're in Butte. Goodness. Nose is still a bit runny, but not near like it has been. Eva's still got a weird voice, but she seems reasonably energetic. So, well, I can't think of anything else. I'll see what I can get done next week. Pegmatites, huh? Loudon. Yeah, it tends to get that way too sometimes, honey buddy. Very annoying. Especially when I'm out in the cold, it tends to run some. I think we're about there, honey bunny. Alex is still active, but I think everyone else, how many we got watching, little one?
It hasn't said.
It hasn't shown up?
It never does. For half the time, it doesn't, okay?
Yeah, it's usually like over in this area there.
Yeah, it's right. It's usually right here.
Huh.
And it just showed us friggin' upcoming, and it just never did. The way it's acting like it never even posted on YouTube at all.
Honey Bunny usually posts happy prospecting and keep it safe out there at the thing. Okay, Brian, what have you got?
Brian has an announcement. Oh, I need books via the USGS for free. I'll read books. Yeah.
What's the announcement, Brian?
Yeah, what's your announcement, Brian? And Alex, yeah. If you need to hide out, dude, hide out, but really.
Yeah, that's getting a bit extreme. Yeah, I don't understand yelling at the television. I can understand yelling at the information
Current
you
viewer
got.
17.
Okay.
They just started a storm cam, apparently.
Okay. All righty. I don't usually either, Alex. Used to watch it, sports, reasonably, but I don't have any particular teams that I really care about. And when professional sports players became such prima donnas and assholes, I just lost interest. When we used to work at the baseball stadium, we used to have a good time if it was a AAA game.
On the Colorado Drone Adventure and News Channel. Colorado Drone Adventure and News Channel.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it
And snow just started.
it used to be fun when I could respect the players, but when you don't like the people who are playing, it's like, the AAA team we used to do was work at. It was fun. The fans were worried about the game, not the bullshit. That was good. We were once at a game up in Tacoma, where our team, the Tucson Sidewinders, they'd already clinched the season. And Tacoma, first of all, they can fill a stadium. It was a Friday night, which is good, but they still had like 5,000 people. And they were down, I think it was like 4-0 in the bottom of the ninth, nobody on base, 2 outs, and they were still cheering. It's like, that's cool, that's fun, because it's about the game, it's the enthusiasm, it's the fun. It's not this ugly, serious shit.
That stadium was packed.
Yeah.
It was a freaking sold-out crowd for a team that was basically in the basement.
Well, they had no chance of winning anything in the season at that point. 3 deuces and a... Oh. But anyhow, so nowadays it's all about winning, 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 winning. And not about the game, not about honor, not about sports. Too much politics and crap in there. Yeah, it's just not fun anymore, as far as I'm concerned. So, to heck with it. I don't have time anyway. Yeah, I think there is a lot of that, Jeff. I really don't know. Again, I didn't pay much, but I know that when I was in Tucson, University of Arizona, yeah, it was a big deal. You know? I have no idea, honey bunny. I'm not that. Do reaction videos about mining channels? Some of the things.
Well,
Huh.
my only problem with the idea about doing reaction videos on mining channels is we're in a very small niche. We don't want to piss anybody off.
I could agree with that, but I'm just wondering.
I mean, if we can find stupid nobodies who are not in mining that do unsafe things, so we can gently educate on why you don't do stupid things.
Well, it could even be something, a reaction video, or somebody's doing something
You're on
well.
camera, dude. You're not even on camera right now.
Oh, okay. I mean, for example, say if
yeah, and as Alex says, reaction videos can be copyright issues too. So
yeah,
you got to be careful.
I mean, something like I break for bedrock is, having a great day pulling nuggets out or whatever. That might be okay. And yeah, I said if I was going to do something, I tend to talk to the person anyway. When I wrote one article for the California Mining Journal, and I was mentioning Mount Baker mining, and I asked Mount Baker first if they had any problems with that. I didn't think they would, but yeah, they did. Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So that's one of the things.
Mine operator is excellent, Honey Bunny says.
Yeah, I see that. There's a guy, what's his name? Witt or something like that. He does stuff where he goes to big operations, various places. They're doing different
Frame
things.
hunters.
And he did some pretty amazing stuff. He winds up there, like they're putting in a tunnel underneath the North Sea. They're just burying it in the seabed there.
Well, anyway.
And that's a pretty big, amazing thing.
Reaction videos showing people who are good at mining would probably be better. Yeah. Well, that's actually what I was looking at.
Yeah. You know, one guy that I really like is Geology Upskill. That's another thing we need to do this winter.
Yeah,
We
need
to get on that and
Well,
go
I'm
through
going to
his
go. I'm going to go away here real shortly if we don't like shut down. So
yeah.
I need to plug in my phone and.
Okay, well, if anyone doesn't have anything else, yeah, that's what I like, Honey Bunny. Why don't we call it a night here, and we'll get back next week and see what we come up with. If you think of good stuff between now and then, write it down so you can bring it up during the thing.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's cool, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to really know his stuff, and we need to get the paid thing. And you take care, Alex.
Happy prospecting and keep it safe out there. Good night,
Take
David.
care, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.